Good morning, folks. Welcome to another Thursday practice session. It turns out this week is 20 years since our teacher Jane died, and so we're spending the sessions this week remembering her and doing some work in her memory. One of the things that Jane would often say was that she hated holding postures. So we thought we'd start off with some posture holding, and then we can get into the guts of movement, which is what she really loved. So let's start with the first third. When we finish the first third, we'll stand for a few minutes, and then we'll do another first third, stopping at every posture. On the Tuesday night session, we got our way up through single whip, so I'll go reasonably quickly through the postures up to single whip, and then we'll spend our time on the second half of the first third. So, here we go. Breathing and relaxing. Go ahead. Continue standing here. Check your shape. Make sure the toes are in a line, the feet are both pointed straight ahead. Comfortable distance apart. Go ahead and let the arms just fall to your side so you're not doing extra effort holding them up. Feel the rear crown of the head as if suspended. This will get the body upright, and it'll give you a feeling of space inside the neck and torso. Feel the feet on the ground, bubbling wells open to earth. Really letting the feet relax. Don't grip with the toes. Let them feel like they're spreading out. Keep the arches in the foot. So the foot doesn't just mash down to the ground. There's still the structure in the foot. But your bubbling wells are able to connect to ground. You should have the 3 points in the tripod in each foot. The heel, ball behind the big toe, ball behind the little toes. All 3, well really 6, all of those points touching the ground and the bubbling wells open. Let your mind become calm in the Dantian. In-breath begins in the Dantian and fills the whole body. Out-breath releases the whole body and returns to the Dantian. Belly expands on the in-breath, releases on the out-breath. Lips are gently sealed. Tip of tongue curls to roof of mouth just behind the teeth. Your jaw is relaxed and hanging. The gaze is down slightly, just below the horizon, not looking at the floor in front of you. Spending as much effort with your gaze turned internal as it is to the space around you. But do keep your eyes open. Continually relaxing the whole body. As you stand here, keep relaxing. When you find tension, really feel that tension and then feel like it's melting off of you. As it melts off of you, it'll run down towards the ground. You just let go. Breathing and relaxing. In-breath fills every cubic centimeter of the body. Out-breath releases any tension. Three more good breaths. Filling and releasing. And close. Reposition yourself, take it from the top. And go ahead. First posture. Check your feet. How'd you do when you stepped? If you didn't get them exactly parallel toes in a line, go ahead and fix it. Check all the posture things we were just paying attention to. Opening move. Ward off left. Continuing to stay relaxed. Notice if you start efforting. Make sure the stance is right, front foot pointed straight ahead, rear foot at an angle, waist square to the front. Rounded feeling in the left hand, right hand on the head of a small child. Relax into the posture. Continue, ward off right. Check your feet. Make sure you've got front foot pointed straight ahead, rear foot at an angle. Make sure the waist is square. Right palm, center of palm is in front of your center line. Left palm between the body and the right. Everything relaxing. Continue to roll back. Left ring finger as if touching the side of the right elbow. Not leaning, body upright. All the weight in the back. And relax, especially that empty right leg. Continue to press. Feet shouldn't have moved. You should still be in a good 70-30. If they did move, change them. Make sure you have beautiful lady's hands in both wrists. Easy to cock the wrists. Forearms are at 45 degrees to the ground, not parallel to the ground, not perfectly vertical, 45 degrees. The hands touch each other lightly. Don't press on them. Relaxing, breathing and relaxing. Continue to push. Let the elbows hang, as if your fingers were on clothespins hanging off a clothesline. Wrists relax, elbows hang, shoulders open. Letting everything soften. Continue on to single whip. Check your posture. Front foot straight ahead, rear foot at an angle, waist square. Left wrist in front of left shoulder, left elbow dangles. Don't let the hand be out at the side. All 5 fingers come together, all 4 proper fingers touching the thumb. Arm is extended, but make sure the right shoulder stays soft. And keep relaxing, breathing and relaxing. Continue to lift hands, shift, turn, lifting hands. Really make sure all the weight is in the back. Feel all the way out through the arms to the fingertips. Breathing and relaxing. When you want to stand up, let yourself release down into the ground, but keep all the weight in the back. Shouldering, hands drop, foot comes back, step back out, shift, right arm is long, left palm down, fingers by right elbow, gaze watching front, sitting down, no leaning. It's easy for this posture to get some lean, no leaning. Solid on the ground like a mountain. Continuing to relax and release. White crane spreads wings. Make sure your right knee is still pointed to the side. Don't bring it with you. Right hand protects the forehead. Palm span away from the eyebrow. Left hand is by your left thigh. Attention is towards the front, even as your waist won't get to the front. All the weight is in the back. And keep relaxing. Breathing and relaxing. Continue to brush knee. Check the stance, front foot straight ahead, rear foot at an angle, waist square. Right wrist in front of right shoulder, right elbow dangles. Left palm at the side by your thigh. Every time we hold postures, it's a chance for you to let go. Releasing into the ground. play guitar. Into the front foot. Replace the rear. Open and close. All the weight in the back. Feeling all the way out through the arms to the fingertips. Breathing and relaxing. Continuing to let go. In-breath fills the body, out-breath lets everything release. Brush knee. Make sure the posture is right. And then relax into the posture. Let it hold you up. No struggle. Breathing and relaxing. Onto the punch. As always, check your posture. Feet, waist. Punch is right to the center line. Left palm faces right forearm. Left fingers point right top corner. Two hands come to the center line, but they don't cross it. Fist is slightly further out ahead. And relax into the posture. Letting go. Continuing to let go. Sinking into the posture, letting it hold you up. Withdraw and push. Breathing and relaxing. In-breath fills the body. Out-breath lets everything go. Cross hands. Cross hands is a deep posture, sitting down, check your feet. Parallel, toes in line. Hands crossed in front of you, no pressing on the hands. Just barely touching. Breathing and relaxing. And return to origin. Letting any tension melt off of you. And close. Great. Take a break. So the thing about doing that kind of work is it's work. And so you want to really take all of your posture holding time and use it to actually let go into the posture. When you find yourself just teeth gritting and building tension, instead relax. The legs will hurt. That's okay as long as it's just muscular effort. If you have any shooting pain in the joints, your alignment is wrong and you should stop and take a look at that. But if your legs are aching and shaking, that's just the way it is. And what you want to be doing is taking all of that time to scan the whole body and relax every bit of the body. So I'll tell a couple Jane stories and then I'll turn it over to Beth. And so one of the things that was funny is Jane actually started doing Tai Chi a couple months before Baton. So she took an initial beginning class, and then after he saw her practicing, he wanted to do it too. And so then he started practicing. And so she made sure that we all knew that she'd been practicing 3 months longer than Baton. At some point, there was a whole class and a bunch of people were doing form and Professor Chung was leading. And after the class was over, one of the senior students, I don't know if it was Tam or somebody, came up to Jane and said, "Wow, your form is really looking good. You looked the most like Professor Chung of anybody in the room there." And as Jane relayed the story to us, she said, "Wow, cool, I've got it." And she stopped going to form class. She still wanted to push hands and sword, but she stopped going to form class. And a number of years later, she was in a class, and the same senior student who had told her that her form looked great came up to her afterwards and said, basically, "What the hell happened? What happened to your form? It's like, it's a mess. There's all these things wrong with it. What did you do?" And she said, "Well, I just went off on my own and lost the details and wasn't paying attention." And so when she worked with us, she was always a real stickler on the form specifics, that it's got to be exactly like this, all the stuff that we talk about. So, she practiced longer. She had the form that looked the most like Professor Chung's, and she had a form that had totally fallen apart. So she would crack the whip on us and keep us on the straight and narrow. Baton did a lot of posture holding. Jane didn't do that much. But the thing she would do is she'd keep us moving and working on something over and over and over, and I'd be just as tired at the end of one of her classes. So 20 years, it's been a long time. We miss her. And now Beth will do some of the work that Jane loved, which is movement work.
So, more of the stuff that Jane loved. She was all about movement, as Lee said, even though she would do some posture holding with us. And when I think of batons classes, I think of the separates, the kicks. I can still hear him in my head. Let's do the kicks. That was his default go-to posture section of the form to work on in postures. When I think of Jane, I think of four corners. I think she really loved four corners. I just remember spending a lot of time doing four corners with her, and in particular, her admonition in four corners: hands don't move, hands never stop moving. And so I thought we should do some four corners. So let's start at single whip and get ourselves, maybe we'll do single whip to single whip the first time, just to get ourselves moving in that section of the form, and then we can do some more. So let's do it. So we've just been working on all this posture correction, so get yourself in a good stance, single whip. You want your legs to support you, your lower back to relax, and get your arms in position gently and softly. Letting the weight drop down through the joints, through the bubbling wells, and into the ground. And begin. And hold it there a sec. Relaxing into the posture. Breathing and relaxing. Those were words Jane said 10,000 times to us. Breathing and relaxing. And rest your legs. So before we do some more of Four Corners, I thought of another Jane story, and it's about four corners. So when we start out and take this first step, Jane always had us step with our foot pointing to the wall. We've learned it a couple different ways. Baton always had us step to the right corner and then turn the foot in at the end. So there was always this little conflict. You'd go to a Jane class and she would tell you where to put your foot. You'd go to a Baton class, he'd tell you to put your foot somewhere else. This was not unique to this move, but this was something that happened frequently. And in this move in particular, Baton always said step to the corner, Jane always said step to the wall. And one of the things Jane would tell us is the superior mind can accept contradictory information. And a lot of people were not of superior mind and would get kind of rebellious. Well, but Baton said to step your foot to the corner. No one ever said to Baton, Jane said step straight ahead. It was always, but Baton said, which would drive Jane crazy. I mean, she was great. And why people, Baton was this mysterious man of the East, and Jane was, just a nice white girl from Rochester. And somehow they would always do that to Jane, and it drove her crazy. After Jane died, the first class we had with Baton, where we worked on four corners, he told us to step our foot straight ahead. And it was just such a funny moment. I could hear Jane, from the heavens looking down on us, shaking her fist. Now he tells them. Now he says to do it the way I said. So you can step your foot. We've learned it a number of different ways. We've had that you step to the wall, that you step to the corner, that you move your foot one way, that you move your foot another way. We've had it that you step right here and let it go to the... So just step. You don't have to worry about it. But in honor of Jane, today, step your foot to the wall. So let's do it again. And we'll just go to ward off left this time, coming out of four corners. So from single whip, and go. Stepping your foot to the wall. And ward off left. And hold it here a moment. How did you do? Adjust your feet if you need to. How are your arms? Relaxing, body upright. Throwing open the joints of the body so the weight can drop through it and through the bubbling wells. And rest your legs. So this idea that the hands don't move, hands never stop moving. I want to do, let's do a few rounds, We'll start at single whip, but then when we get to corner number 4, we'll just turn it into corner number 5 or number 1 and just kind of keep it going like that. So we'll do a few rounds. And I'll keep reminding you, hands don't move, hands never stop moving. And I want you to figure out what that means and what you have to do to bring that to realization. So, getting your position and begin. Hands don't move, hands never stop moving. Now we'll just treat this like we're going into number 1 again. Notice any place that you hold your hands static, particularly making the difficult steps. Hands don't stop moving. And back to the first corner again. And notice anywhere that your hands move without the whole body delivering that movement, participating in that movement. Hands don't move. Hands never stop moving. Let's do one more round before we take a break. And let's go to word off left. And hold it here a sec. Breathing and relaxing. And rest your legs. So another thing that I hear in my head, in Jane's voice, is the words, "Turn your waist." She would say that a lot, particularly when we were pushing hands, and if I was pushing hands with her, and I would move my hands without actually letting the whole body be involved and turning my waist. And Jane was really good. She was the best person to push hands with. Not only could she throw me into the wall harder than anybody else, but she would actually work with me and help me figure out what was going on. And so she would let herself get caught and then give me a chance to issue. And invariably, I would do what everybody always does, and it would go to my hands. And she'd say, "Turn your waist, turn your waist," and showing me that if I used the center, turn the waist, it would deliver the energy out through my hands more efficiently, and then I would have a whole body experience of connecting to her, and that was the more effective way to succeed in pushing. So all the time I would hear this, "Turn the waist, turn the waist." And as we were just doing the hands don't move, hands never stop moving, that's really one of the big keys, is that if you stop using the body from the center, the hub of the body, then the hands, they either come to a stop and or just put themselves where they have memorized to go. And that one of the big keys to making Tai Chi movement that goes through the whole body and, rooted in the feet, developed through the legs, directed by the waist, manifest in the hands. So we're going to do another several rounds like we just did. And I want you to notice the relationship between turning the waist and hands don't move, hands never stop moving. So, getting yourself into soft, relaxed, and correct position. Breathing and relaxing. Begin. Turn your waist. Noticing what's happening in the relationship between turning the waist and the hands moving without moving. It's the turning of the waist that helps you get your foot out, and turning the waist that helps you get your hands in position. Keeping the hands relating to your center will help you perceive how much the turning of the waist is the mechanism for hands don't move, hands never stop moving. And let's do one more round. Hands stay with your center. The waist turns. Hands don't become static, and they don't move on their own. And 2 ward off left. Hold it here a moment, breathing and relaxing. And rest your legs. So I realized I should probably say something about being thrown into the wall in push hands, because I don't think that's what everybody grew up doing, is being thrown into the wall. But I guess at Shizhung, they would practice with one person's back to the wall and trade off who had their back to the wall, and the person who was facing the wall was the pusher. So when Jane and Baton bought their place in Boulder, it had this room that became the Taiji room that was on the back side of a brick wall and brick fireplace that led into the living room on the other side of the wall. And she was so excited. She told us that when they saw the house and walked into that room and saw the brick wall, they knew they had to buy that house because it had the perfect push hands wall. So Lee's there at our push hands wall. And so we would do push hands in their Taiji room, and we would be like that. And we were instructed how to hit the wall. That was an important aspect of it. Sometimes people would say, shouldn't we put mats up on the wall? But apparently Professor Chung said, no, you really want the impact of the hard wall. That's the safest way, that if you kind of hit something mushy, you could hurt yourself, but if you hit the wall, you would be okay. And so they would teach us how to hit, introduce you to the wall, as it were, when you started push hands. So that's what the wall was about. Jane used to say, grab a piece of the rock. That was her statement when we would push hands. And of course, I was the one who would put my back to the wall, and she would toss me into it. So that's just a little aside about the wall. So let's do a closing first third and just try to feel the dantian, the movement of the waist. Remember, your waist includes the back. This place here is what they mean when they say the waist. And so that involves actually relaxing your lower back, because if your lower back is very arched, then you can't really direct from it the same way that you can if you can release it and relax it. So we'll do a first third. What's true in four corners is true all over. Hands don't move, hands never stop moving. Turn the waist. Relax your lower back to help you turn the waist. Keep your hands relating to your center so that it really is the turning of the waist that helps you explore what it means that hands don't move and they never stop moving. And we'll go at a Jane clip, so try not to get too grinding into the baton glacial form. And begin. So, Jane, 20 years gone, but certainly not forgotten, and I hope that we managed to give a little bit of Jane energy into your day as well as ours, and we'll see you all next time.